Hello and welcome to the What Turns You On podcast, intimate conversations with women living in their radiance, turn on, and pleasure. I'm so excited because today we have Sister Goddess Abbriana here. I'm going to share a little bit about Miss Abbriana and all that she is bringing to the table tonight, and we're just so excited to have her express and share with us what turns her on and what she's so passionate about. Abbriana is the owner of Fairytale Academy, a life enhancement business based in Denver, Colorado, where she supports women living their happily ever after with the cards they've been dealt. As a pleasure coach, she supports women in enhancing their lives through their joy by guiding them away from a perspective of helplessness to one of power. This allows them to not only see the possibility of different and better, but actively engage and achieve it so women can continuously gift themselves a sovereign and liberated, happily ever after. Goddess Abbriana, welcome. We are so excited. Well, I guess it's just me. So I'm so excited to have you here. And here's something that I'm like even more excited about is we live in the Colorado area together. So we've met each other in person, which is these days seems like a rarity. And it's just been such a gift to be in her energy, to feel of her passion, to feel of what totally lights her up. And so, Goddess Abriana, I'm going to ask you, what is it that just fucking turns you on?
Okay, what turns me on?
And
Um,
it can be in any realm, any area, but steep into that passion. What is it that just, ooh, like lights you up, gets you all excited and juicy and wet?
if I'm like experiencing life, like I have really been getting really turned on and like living life, just even in the most mundane things, like just being able to cook dinner for my kid. Like got up earlier. I started dinner at like 2:33. Started prepping at 2:33 for dinner, so that I can have my kid fed, so I can give my energy to you, and also make sure that he's okay. Like that, being able to just do that in this day and age is like it has been turning me on. Like being able to just be human, go out, go dance and have fun with my friends, but also like be a mom and be a business owner. Just I get to be all these amazing things as I live my life. And that has been really turning me on.
Mm. Okay, you've got me getting turned on here too, because being able, I just have to favorite frame you saying that finding the turn on in the mundane, that that's a secret, that's a secret sauce recipe right there for life,
It
right?
is, it is. And quite frankly, that's what fight. I've made my life. Like my business, the life enhancement business, it really is about what is your life. This is all we get, right? This is
Yeah.
it. We only get this one time, this one go. Even if you believe in reincarnation and all this, like this is it for this time, this space. This is it. This is all you got. So if everything is hell bent on making you be miserable, making you not live your life, making you not experience living and being in your body, just being blessed to do that,
Hmm.
being blessed to experience that has really given a new meaning to my life and the work I want to do.
Which leads me into asking, tell me about the work that you have been called to do. I want to learn more about Fairytale Academy because there, whenever we have these bios, we share them because this is what literally turns us on. It's not what we do, it's who we be, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
share this. I'm looking forward to hearing this.
Okay, so I think it may have been a typo when I sent it. It's actually supposed to be Fairytale Alchemy. it's it, so, but it could have I could have it could have changed it to Academy. So
No, no. Okay, let's just backtrack. It does say fairy tale. Alchemy. Didn't read that properly. What I saw was Academy, but I really love Fairytale Alchemy, which
It was
that's
almost,
even more.
but it was almost Academy. I just was with trademarks and stuff like that. I just didn't want them problems. So I
There
didn't
you
know
go.
if
No, we got it. Fairytale Alchemy.
yes, no. So Fairytale Alchemy is literally about changing your story. My what started is I like to say I go help people go from grim to fairy tale.
Mm.
So I assist women specifically. I assist women who has a track record with pain and chaos. I assist them from going from surviving to living. Like it's an actual like people don't really understand that that is an actual process. Like it's an actual thing. Like you can't just one day stop fighting for your life. Like if you've been in fight and flight for forever, all you've known is fight or flight, peace is such it's scary for one or two things. If you've experienced it before and then you lost it, it's scary because what if I lose it again? If you've never experienced it, if you had to force your way into experiencing peace and just being, it's I guess it's the equivalent of throwing someone who's never experienced anything into chaos.
Yeah.
Like it's literally the same. Like that's a traumatizing experience in itself. And what I learned in my own journey of
This is what I
again,
want to hear. I want to hear your journey. Yes, because this is where the juice is at.
yes. And so what I learned in my own journey of forcing myself to have it, I literally just woke up one day. I was like, you know what? Screw this. I'm gonna have a happily ever after. I'm gonna have a fairy tale life. I am no like I refuse. I refuse for it to be anything else. And during that process, I ended up creating this whole methodology or philosophy that I really do live by. And I was again doing things differently. I'm happier now. I'm experiencing things differently. And some friends and stuff who have similar stories to me, they were like, "Hey, what are you doing? Like, what's this?" And I was like, "Oh, this is what I live by story. That's the methodology that I have." And yeah, so that's how kind of Fairytale Alchemy came. I realized that on my journey, it was lonely. It was very
Say that
lonely.
again.
I realized on my journey that it was lonely. And
For
also in
sure.
times where I did have company, the journey was a lot easier. And again, as being someone who all really only knew chaos, right? I'm a survivor. I only
Yeah.
knew that. I didn't know what peace looked like. And so there were times where I was going after what I thought peace was, which was really just another version of chaos, just the other coin of it. So when I would come across people who actually lived through peace, I would learn.
Yeah.
I am definitely a learner. I've always learned through stories. So I just really wanted to live my story alongside others and also realize that we can like we really can't have it all. Like we can it doesn't matter what we're given, we can have whatever we want.
Mm.
And also no one else gets the right to tell you what that is.
Oh,
That was something else. I realized that a lot of pain that I was going through was due to me trying to live up to the expectations that someone else, again, not even mine, that someone else had told me I was supposed to have. And I had those things. I had a amazing job, the nanny, like I've had the good relationship, bad relationship. I got a great family. Like I had everything on paper and I was miserable and I was still fighting for my life. There was no reason to be doing that. And I realized it was a few things. One, I didn't know what peace was and didn't even realize I was in that state and didn't need to fight anymore. Two, the the peace that I had really wasn't peace for me because it was stuff I didn't even want. Like, yeah, I'm a manager and running labs and stuff, but girl, you didn't even want to be a scientist. Like, you ended up in this. It's like, yeah, it's just, it was so many things that I realized that, yeah, I'm great, toot my own horn, I did it, but I didn't even want this to begin with. So when I got it, I really wasn't appreciative of it,
mm.
not the way it deserved. And so I realized that, you know what? I just got to start over. And I did. I burned my life to the ground.
Mm.
I,
Talk to me about this. How did you
I,
burn your life to the ground? That sounds so amazing. That's like the epitome of the phoenix going down in the ashes and coming back up. Like that's the visual that came to me.
so, first things first, I quit my job. I quit my job. I had been a lab scientist for 10 years at that point, 10 going on 11 years. And I was originally a general, it's called a general manager. And basically, I ran a lab, right? I was general supervisor and I ran a lab, specifically a COVID lab in DC. And I hated it. Hated it. So I started traveling. And then at that point, I wasn't in management. I was just traveling to different labs and different hospitals and helping out here and there. But it was a ton of money. I was making like 12,000 a month on the low end.
Wow. Yeah.
It was good money.
Yeah.
And I had my living nanny and all that, but I was working so much, I really couldn't spend the money. I wasn't able to see my kid. My kid was starting to have some social anxiety,
Mhm.
and he was having really bad separation anxiety to the point to where, like, he would be sick when I left. It was, yeah, it was getting bad, and so I decided that my contract I was on was going to be my last contract. And the last time I decided to do, I had had a big transition. I did have a business, but I gave up my business in order to start working because that was a check. At least I could depend on that check for my kid. However, they didn't work out. So I was like, this time I'm gonna bet on myself. So I had had some money put up. I had my house. At that time, my brother and his family were just moving to Colorado. I had decided to stay in Colorado. Look, I had just got to rented out a house for my kids. So I was like, okay, great. And then I just was like, went to my nanny. I was like, hey, I could pay for about 2 more months, but that's it. Like, this
Yeah.
isn't, I'm gonna have to let you go. I let my recruiter know. I was like, hey, this is it. I'm not coming. I'm not doing any more contracts. Don't send me any else. I had what I had, and I started my business with what I had, and I was like, you know what? We'll just try. we'll
Hey,
just
that's so ballsy, but when you're not happy, like the money doesn't do it. You weren't living in that turned on space.
Oh God,
And
no.
right? And one of the things for the many conversations that you and I have been able to share in these past few months, which has been so amazing for me, there's one thing that you have said that continues to just be right in the back of my mind that is so powerful. And I don't want to mess it up, but I'm hoping you can make sure that I get this out and then you can articulate it better. You had made mention that being like in your life growing up, being who you are, from how you came, that being in a space of chaos and survival mode became the norm, that when things like started going really well, it took you out of your comfort zone.
Yep.
Talk to me about that. I want to hear more about that because that is you coming in and shifting into a real space of turn on. And
Yeah. So
then I want you to tell me more about Fairytale Alchemy, your business.
I would love to. So, and quite frankly, these go hand in hand,
I
right? So
knew they would.
everything that I speak about is goes hand in hand. So again, with my own journey, and I hate to keep saying it, but that's where everything starts.
Yeah.
I started to realize what I knew was normal, right? Most of the things we grew up, what we know is normal, or what we grow up with, that's our right. Does that make? Are
Yeah.
we're here with that, right?
Hmm.
So that's our right.
Yeah.
Um, when you are actively in a space of healing, when you're actively in a space of healing, one of the hardest things to confront is who you are or who you believe yourself to be. And until we pay more attention to it, a lot of the things that we do or react or experience, or the moralities that are forced upon us, we take those on as our identity.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and for me, and as far as my story goes, I come from a long line of very strong women, very traumatized women as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so, with that, along with being poor, being black, being a woman, just all the things, right?
Yeah,
And my mom had me at 15. So I was, I grew up with my mom, basically. Like that's a
for
single
sure.
difference in some families. Um, but with that being said, everything that I knew as right came from that space. And there was a lot of wrong in that space.
Uh-huh.
So, but again, I come from a line of women who are traumatized. So I was built for that, if that makes sense. I don't really know what else to say, but my
That's
family,
it.
yeah, it was like I was built for that. And like the only thing my mom could really show me is how to survive in that type of space. And my mom is a really positive person, and she did her absolute, like I could not ask for another mother, right? However, she also couldn't teach me what she didn't know. And so by the time I even was able to come face to face with the fact that this is not how things are, this is not how my body is functioned, right? I learned to survive this, but this isn't how I was made to function. This is where not where my thriving came from. This is not where my happiness came from. And that I was in a space to do something about it. However, I didn't because I didn't know. Um, when it came to my attention, and I was like, okay, so that means I just started doing something. I got extra sensitive to things. And I started realizing that when things were going really well for me, when I was doing things that put my mind at peace and that made me feel safe and made me feel at ease, I didn't get I didn't get that feeling. Like intellectually, I knew that me having work life balance, me experiencing friendships, me experiencing healthy relationships, like I knew that that was the right thing, like paying my bills on time. Like I knew all of those things are the things I was supposed to do to function and be able to live my life.
Yeah.
However, I couldn't, like it would make me physically sick to do those things. Like my body literally would have a regurgitating reaction. And so I also found myself, even if there was nothing wrong, I made something wrong because I could not sit in the comfort of being taken care
Oh, whoa. That like I just got freaking goosebumps all over my entire body. Like this awareness, this heightened awareness is so crucial and needed now.
Yeah.
Well, and you being able to share this right now is so powerful. Continue because this is like, oh, it's so juicy.
So that's when I realized, and it's so funny too, because before I came to it, I knew. So like I used to joke all the time telling people I thrive in chaos. Like I show up my best when I'm in chaos, right? Thinking it's a little joke, a little hee hee ha ha, not realizing like the whole time it's like my subconscious knew the truth. Like I'm familiar
Hmm.
with chaos, the tools that I've been giving to live my life by the adults who were meant to train me on my way, they knew how to survive chaos and do things in chaotic manners. But that doesn't mean that was how I was supposed to be living. Like it's like being in a war zone, right? Like I literally lived through my own version of a war zone. And even when I wasn't there, so now I'm not beating poverty, right? Like I'm not poor. I can take care of my kids going. My kid goes to a high-end school. I got a new car that I was able to buy myself. Like I got all these things. I'm making again 12. I'm making over six. I'm making six figures a year, right? I got a college education. Like I'm doing all of these amazing things, meeting all these amazing people, going to do all these things, and I still felt like I was in my war zone. Like nothing ever felt right, and I didn't. But that's because again, I didn't know, because you can't fix what you don't know.
Yeah.
And I just remember 3 or 4 years ago, it's almost 4 years this year. The anniversary is coming up. I had a really big moment that was very deciding for me. And it was the moment that was like, I realized, first of all, I hate my life. Like, I hated it. I hated it. I know people were saying, like, I had a ton of people that was like, oh, you're amazing. Your life is amazing. I'm like, girl, if you only do one, like, I hated my life. I felt super alone.
Yeah.
I felt like it wasn't gonna change. Like I was just here to suffer. And I remember I was on a I was on my contract and it was winter time, and I remember pulling over on the side of the bridge. Well, right before I got to this icy bridge, because I realized right before I got to it, I had a thought. If I drive my car, like if I drive and I hit an ice patch and go over it, like all of this will be over. I got my life insurance plan, so my kid's good. I got like I don't have to worry about anything, right? like to the point like it was just so bad to the point to where like I was basically worth more dead than alive. I had that many life insurance policies out on myself for my kid. So I
Mhm.
wasn't gonna do nothing crazy, right? But if something happened, like it I'm at peace, right? You can take
Yeah.
me. And I pulled over because something in me was like, that's not that's not right.
Yeah. That's not right.
That's not right. Like that's not right. And then I remember my grandmother telling me, baby, it's my great grandmother actually. She's like, baby, life's hard, but it's up to us to make it something.
Mm.
And so I pulled over and I just sat there and I was just like, okay, all right, God, something's got to give. So either you gonna bring me back to you, or things are gonna change.
Mhm.
Like it can't be anything else. Like I can't accept anything else. Like things they have to change. Like I'm tired. I feel like I fought long enough. I don't want to fight anymore. I'm exhausted. Like my arm's broken. Like just give me peace, right? That's at that moment, that's really all I wanted. Like that. And I realized why I had that thought, because to me, the only peace I would have was in that moment. And that's what I felt.
Yeah.
Um, and I just couldn't believe that that's how I felt about my life.
Yeah.
And I had a whole kid. Like,
Yeah.
I could get a kid that
Yeah.
needs me. And I felt like I was tired. I was very tired. Um, and I was like, you know what? I drove, I got myself together. I realized, okay, I'm not gonna do nothing crazy. So I was able to drive back to my hotel because I was staying at the hotel at the time. I was like, you know what? If I wake up in the morning, I'm gonna just take that as a sign that I need to do something different.
Mm.
So since I'm here,
Yeah.
I obviously woke up.
Yay
I
for us.
actually ended up getting COVID too. I woke up and got COVID, and I had been working through COVID the entire time. The entire time, it had never got it. Worked like it's, and I had actually got COVID, and it put me down for about a week. And during that week, I cried,
Uh-huh.
thumped, I cursed, um,
Mm.
and then I made changes. I was like, okay, cool. My brain's not right. I found me a therapist.
Yeah.
I
Mm.
know I don't need to be isolated from my family stuff right now. That's really important to me because I need some connection. I told him I decided that I was going to move to Colorado with my mom. at that moment. I decided that I was going to quit my job because I was unhappy. I didn't want it. And I was thinking about the last time I was happy as an adult. And I thought about my business. And I was actually thinking about bringing my old business back, which was a romance concierge where I did date planning for couples.
Oh,
I
nice.
loved it. But
Yes.
I wasn't in the space for that. So I was like, something's going to come to me, but I know I'm good at this. So this is my back burner if it
Yeah.
doesn't come. That's when I started really getting into psychology as well and trying to learn about trauma because I realized that was something like I knew I was traumatized, but I had never took the time to learn about it. And also, all the times that I've had worked with the mental health system, I realized that the tools really weren't built. They're built to help you get back to a stabilized state. However, I don't think a lot of them take into consideration people who never knew what stabilization was. so when I started, when I started researching it, I realized that there was a really big market miss for people like me. Like it was a whole because again, this is the season of the coaches and stuff. But I realized a lot of them they ain't really been through nothing, and also like the the help they offered worked if you weren't going through it still. How do you heal when you're still going through it?
Yeah.
Because what I had happened to me, that was something fresh. Like that was something new. And I was still fighting for my life
Mm.
in that moment. So and it wasn't I couldn't check out. I got a kid. I'm a single mom. My kid
Yeah.
has needs. Like I got people depending on me. I got a team that's dependent on me. I'm helping my family with their bills. Like I can't check out,
Yeah.
but I gotta do something different. And
Yeah.
so I started researching psychology, researching spirituality, and researching just kind of anything that I can really get my hands on for stabilization, right? And I started taking the things that I learned in like bits and pieces and reworking them to work for my now, like not in the
Mm.
future, not know because a lot of the stuff I was getting there was like, oh, you got to separate from your family. Well, I'm not in a place to separate from my family, especially if I'm about to quit my job. Like I can't,
Right.
right? Like I get some of them is the problem, but what am I supposed to do? And
Right.
so I didn't feel like they took a lot of those places took that into consideration. That what about my now? Like I need help now. I don't need help later. I don't need help that puts me in a position to where I'm worse off than what I am right now. Because baby, I'm at the bottom. I'm scraping. I'm scraping the soul. I cannot afford to go any lower than where I am.
Yeah.
So I don't need any solutions that take me there first because I'm not gonna make it. It's gonna break me.
Yeah.
And so I just started building from there, right? And so it ended up in I think about couple 2 years into it, I ended up building a methodology that I didn't even realize that I had built on how to do that, how to not only see, because at that point I didn't see myself in the future, right? So
Mhm.
I had to get my humanization because I
Mm.
didn't have that. I didn't see myself as human. I could not humanize myself in any manner. So that means no grace, no pleasure, no like all I have is like pain and suffering. That's all I'm allowing myself in this space. So I need my humanity back. So I need my grace. I need my joy. I need all the things that humans get to experience because we're humans. I need those things back. So I had to find a way to get that, even though I was in hell.
Yeah.
Even in hell, I still need my humanity. But also, okay, now I need my sanity. My humanity needs to come with my sanity because I can't I can't keep just going off of my reactions because my reactions are just for like survival sake, right? And then I realized, and so I got those two things, and I realized, okay, cool. Now that's where this play stuff comes in, right? That's when I started learning about pleasure. And it was like, we talk about it, driftwood. So like during this whole 2 years, like every time I would like, I guess hit a clear obstacle. I could clearly see a bigger picture. It's like my worldview like started, instead of tunnel vision, it just started widening, kind of like a bird's eye view. I started going from a tunnel vision to a bird's eye view of what my human experience has really been and what it had the capacity to do. And all of that expansion, what it ended up allowing me to do is, first off, realize who I am versus who I was forced to become,
Mhm.
and who I want to be.
Yeah.
Awesome. And it was just, I don't really, it was just magical.
Yes.
So magical because it allowed me again to start showing up for myself. And then I realized when I was showing up for myself, it allowed me the patience and the bandwidth to show up for others. Um, and I just kept working. I kept learning new things. I would try them if they worked or if they felt good. I would try them if they didn't. And okay, on to the next thing. Like I got really curious about it. And like I said, it ended up turning into this whole framework. It turned into this whole framework, and I finally gave it some words, and I realized that that's what I want to do. Like I realized with my planning business, I wanted I wanted kids like me to have a better experience. And this will always stick to me. I can't quite remember how old I was. I know I was young because, according to my mom, I've been talking since I was like before I was 2. Like I was talking before I was walking.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah, I was one of those. I was a scary baby. I was one of those self-aware babies.
Love it.
And so, but I remember being super, super young and asking and I asked my mom a question because she was doing something, and I could tell she just wasn't happy with it. I just didn't understand why she did it. I remember her saying, "Baby, this is how we do it, right?" And when she said that, I was like, our lives would be a lot easier if mama was happy. And I just went on, right? Just went on. It was like, and I mean, I wasn't even 5 yet. I couldn't have been. I think I was about 3, maybe 4. But I was super young, and that thought and it hit like, and so
And
I'm
it
sitting.
stayed with you too, hasn't it?
Well, yeah, and it stayed with me, and I didn't know it stayed with me until again I began putting words to this framework that I had been living that I didn't even know that I was creating because just from researching and then just doing things, and I realized that the only that with all of my outside stuff, like with my date planning business and all that, the only reason why I did that is because I wanted more kids to experience happier parents. And I knew the key at that time is, even now, it was a knowing. I know that now that the key was my mother's happiness. Like I felt like if my mom was happier, it was certain things she would do or would not do. And things
Mhm.
would just fall in line. They would just fall in place. And I made that my life's mission, where I would help more women. And again, they don't necessarily have to be mothers because we all mother in some form.
Absolutely.
But women as a whole, I realized if women as a whole was happier, life would be easier as a whole on a global level. Um,
So I've been taking notes because there's these a couple of questions that I want to ask you. The first one is you were not happy. Your mom wasn't happy. There's a disconnection, and I understand this for my own self as well in past experiences of my life.
yeah,
We are not happy when we are disconnected from our bodies.
yeah,
And the nervous system cannot be regulated when the spirit and the body are not connected. Like I was so in my head, I couldn't, I couldn't feel in my body,
yeah,
right? And so, and as you're talking, you had this experience at such a tender, sweet young age that has literally shaped your entire existence.
yeah,
If mom's not happy, mom was disconnected, right? And so you bring yourself back into this. You're doing this, and as you're going into spirituality, as you're going into psychology, you're starting to bring these things, and now you're starting to come into your body as a whole. And whatever the identity you had before has shifted because you know that that wasn't real. This is who you are now in this now moment. And my main question is all of this awareness, I'm so curious, how did you come to find? Like, this is a standard question throughout all of the interviews. How did you come to find Mama Gina's work at such a time as this in your life?
So,
Because that's where that peace is. That's where the pleasure comes back in. That's where we're literally being in our bodies and
so,
we're feeling more. And
so
that's the turn on, right? That's what
yeah,
fucking
no,
turns us on.
yeah. So again, with all of that, right? So I quit at this point, I quit my job, everything, right? So
Yeah.
like now I'm focusing on my business. And I realized that I want my business to be centered around helping women connect to their joy and live their life from their joy.
Yeah.
Um, and I realized how much actually goes into joy. And so I
Mhm.
finally got to the pleasure piece and I realized, oh snap, I really don't know nothing. Like I don't really know nothing about pleasure. Like all the things that I thought I liked or bring me pleasure, like once I started going through my journey, I realized those really aren't my things. And or because as a Capricorn, spending money is a thing for me. I do love it. I don't really got the funds for that right now. So so what now? I gotta do the right now,
Yeah.
right? So at that point, I had got a psychic, a Chinese face reading. I got yeah, and then how I ended up getting it. Apparently, I had this subscription to this app that I thought I had canceled. I never canceled. I had like 3 months worth of points. Like, and it was like they've been charging me like basically $70 a month, and I did not know that that money had been coming out of my account.
Dang.
Right? What it was the time. It was the time back then, but I would know now.
Yeah.
However, um, it was just something that she had came across my thing, and I was actually looking for massages, but her thing came up, and I had no clue why. But I was also getting into spirituality and like looking into the woo woo, and so I was like, you know what? I'll try it. Right? It's technically free because I'm using my points that I
Yeah.
already. So I got it, and I went for my birthday. Actually went the day after my birthday. It was the day after my 31st birthday. And she did my reading and she gave me so many nuggets. Like she literally projected my year out. I'm not gonna lie. But she didn't tell me about me experiencing Mama Gina though I did. But what she did was she told me about a book. She told me to get this, she told me to get two books. Um it was The Gap in the Game. I don't know if you've read it, but
I have
it's
the
a good
gap
one.
in the game. Okay.
Game. And she told me to read that one first. And then she told me after that to read Pussy Reclamation. And so the gap in the game, I'm glad I read it first because what that did was that helped switch my perspective from I kept measuring forward, like measuring against what I thought I wanted and didn't have. And so that book forces you to oh, excuse me, forces you to switch that perspective and start doing what they like to call measuring backwards. So it's like you have your ideal and you got your goals along the way to get to your ideal. But then instead of looking at your ideal and being like, oh my God, I only got $10,000. I'm still so far away from my million. You measure from the fact that you got 10,000 from zero. And like you celebrate that because what that does, it keeps you in your, first of all, in your present, right?
Mhm.
And also, you may not have never even was going to meet that million. Maybe for whatever reason, right? Maybe the million you really didn't want it, or it just wasn't capable with the things. But like, at least you got your 10,000. And so if
Mhm.
you can focus on the fact that you got your 10,000 and just focus on moving towards your next 10,000, like things will it keeps you in a better headspace so it allows you to actually continue to go after your goals versus giving up because they feel like because a million from 10,000 is so far away.
Yeah.
But throw to 10,000, like that's like, oh my God, that's so far away too. But in like a oh my God, I've come so far.
I love that.
So it forced me to switch my mind. So then I read that and I did my stuff with that. And then I read, see, I started reading Pussy Reclamation. I will not lie, I could not finish it at first.
Hmm.
I could not finish it at first. It was a very triggering read because
Yes,
this book was not only was it telling me that everything I've known since I was a baby, basically, that I was right, but also it was Mama Gina's life was mirroring mine in so many capacities. Um, and it was just a lot. Like it just felt like it was like too much goodness. But I did finally finish it. However, and when I did, I was like, I got to get more of this. Like I need more of her.
I get
and
it.
and so I looked on her website, and that's when she had. And I was looking, and even when I was doing, I was like, oh my god, I need to teach this to other Black women, right? Because this in turn, because again, it's such a personal. My business is so personal to me because it's me. It's like
Yes.
I'm going back, reaching back, and I'm grabbing all the other me's in whatever capacity that I can. And so I really wanted to center the humanization and joy and centering yourself as a Black woman, especially in America.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
that's not something we really that a lot of us get to do, right? A lot of us we don't get that luxury. And so I'm like, I need to bring this to them. And so even when I was doing it, I was like, oh, I'll take her class. But I'm like, I wonder if she does coach teaching, like if she teaches people how to do, or like I even was getting ready to write her email to ask her if I can use some of her modules from the book with some of my future clients. And like this was the pleasure piece that I'm missing. This was it, right? And she had put that she was bringing the cohort back this year, that she was going to bring it back. So I signed up to be let known, and the rest is history.
You know what? It never ceases to amaze me as I interview these women how we have come to this sacred work now at such a time as this. And it is because we were missing our own turn on. And when we go back and I don't know how many times I've said in my own life, I was missing the pleasure piece. I
Yeah.
needed that piece for me.
Yep.
So that as I am now in that embodying process,
Yeah.
that I can be that
Right.
coach, that facilitator, that
Mm-hmm.
example that other women can do it as well.
Yeah.
And they're not going to die. They're not going to go to hell. They're
No.
going to realize that the truth of who they are has always been walking in their own bodies, right?
Yeah. And from their joy too. And that's one of the biggest things I got from with Mama Gina, and what really, because again, this at this point I already had my life enhancement business. And my thing is you can have your happily ever after. Like your life isn't, I don't believe lives are supposed to be miserable.
No, they're
I live
not.
in a world, and while yes, we create our own world, we live in a world where we do have to deal with the consequences of the choices of others.
Mhm.
Because I know I didn't choose. I don't choose to be seen as a subhuman person in a room. Like that's not something I choose to do.
Absolutely.
Someone else decides that, and they treat me accordingly, and I have to deal with the consequences or reactions of that treatment, right?
Mhm.
And so, what I loved about the book and Mama Gina and her ideology was how she had did it. Like she had given she had given physical form to an idea that I had. Like this was I didn't really know, like, and I didn't know how to do it. So it also gave me some steps. Like it gave like, oh, I'm not reinventing the wheel. I got some direction. Like I may do things a little differently, but there's a map here. And
Yes.
um and I was right. And it gave a lot of that. So it gave a lot of validation that I was right. Like we're not meant to be miserable. I know people really want that to be the case. They really want us to believe it. They really want, but it wouldn't be so traumatizing to the body if that's what we were meant for. I feel like everything that we're meant for, we're built for, and we're not built for the type, like, I know there's going to be problems, I know there's going to be sorrows, but I feel like that was, even if we listen to the, like, talk about with the Bible, right? Like, we were going to have to go through things. I just don't think it was these things. I think, like, maybe natural wars, right? Like
Yes.
a drought.
But you know what?
Fall off a cliff.
Yeah.
But you're not, like, someone raping you. Like, I don't think I don't think that was it. I don't
No,
think normalizing someone's ability to
no.
take away your autonomy. I don't think that was it. And if we look at what your God told you to do, that's against a commandment, if I'm not mistaken. Like it's a lot of things we have been normalized to accept that I really do believe we're never really supposed, like, they weren't the assignment, like that wasn't the struggle we had to go through. However, they are here now, right? And
Yeah.
so what do we do? So, like, what do you do now? Like, we can't, in this space and time right now, I can't stop it, I can't take it all out. So what can I do, and what will I do so that I have more control over my story and the life that I'm experiencing and living? I actually get to live my life. Because again, if I was meant to suffer, I would have the capabilities to handle suffering. I wouldn't leave my body every time I suffered. So the capacity of suffering that they're really trying to force on us, I think it's BS. And so that's what Fairytale Alchemy is. Like, it is to help you alchemize the
Mhm.
soot and the grime of what you have, the dirt, and, like, really do whatever experiments we need to do. And we try different things, like whatever the experiment for you, so that your life goes from grim to fairy tale. Like, it's the journey of that. And so that's what Fairytale Alchemy helps is focused towards. So I do that through the coaching. But also I
Mhm.
have events and I do talks and I do speeches, and I am actually going to be starting like a girls group where we'll get together and have community, do field trips and things like that. So, like, it's, I just really want to do my part of experiencing my life. And the beautiful thing about being a human being is that I get to experience, I am, like, I'm supposed to be with other people. Like, that's how I'm supposed to survive, is with other people. And so I get to experience all these different things. However, I don't want it to be with a whole bunch of miserable people either. So, like, I teach what I know. I feel like it's wasteful to not give the knowledge that you have. Like, I feel like that's the freest thing that we have. Like, I can give that. It takes nothing from me. It doesn't
Mhm.
make me less smart. It doesn't make me less smart. If anything, it makes me smarter, because maybe you got a take on it that I could have never seen because I haven't lived your life.
Right.
So that was my focus. Like, I wanted to give women community
Hmm.
and safe space and a loving space to be human, to
Yeah.
be, to
Yeah.
get back in their bodies, to
Yeah.
actually live their lives, to pick up the pen and make changes in their story where they're allowed to, and where their choices can really be impactful, and to create a space in a world where my kid doesn't have to deal with a whole bunch of other traumatized kids either.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's Fairytale Alchemy.
Goddess Abbriana, it has been such a pleasure and joy to have you here and to have this conversation and this awareness. And we're gonna wrap it up here. The one thing that I just want to bring to the audience is I love how you say grim to fairy tale, right? The grim is going to be, what does your body tell you? The body keeps the score, right? The body keeps the score. And if you are dysregulated in any way, shape, or form, it is because there is something, a person, a job, an experience, a living situation, a relationship. There is something that is not in alignment with the truth of who you are.
Yeah.
And when you see it, address it, and consciously choose to be in that what is it that really brings you joy and happiness? That's your turn on, right? And when we shift into that, that's when the magic and it's fairy tales and magic, in my world, they're real. They're real, and I know they're real in your world because hello, fairytale alchemy is a real thing. Thank you. Thank you for bringing magic and alchemizing all of these things that we go through in life to realize what's not normal and what really is our true nature. I'm honored to have you here, my gorgeous, gorgeous goddess, Abriana.
Thank you. And thank you for having me. I feel so honored to be in this space. And I love, I just love what you're doing. I love your focus on women's turn on and like the different aspects of it and get into it and living it out. So just thank you. Thank you for letting me be a part of that.
Such an honor, my love, such a beautiful honor. Thank you again for tuning in to What Turns You On podcast. And another episode is complete. Thank you.